Welcome to the shadows. I hope you find peace in the dark. These stories that I read are handpicked week by week. And without further ado, let's get into it. I'm camping with a group of friends for the first time in the forest. The girl who left to get firewood is not the same girl who came back. I'm sure of it. That's my first thought, at least. I do tend to jump to outlandish conclusions. No one else seems to have even picked up on any change. They're all too preoccupied, messing about with the fire, chatting shit. But I see. I always notice the little things, and Emily has changed. Is everything okay, Em? I call over. As I said, my mind in these sorts of situations always jumps instantly to the craziest, most ludicrous and far-fetched explanation possible, as a general rule, but I'm not insane. The sun is setting and the fires begin to cast strange and flickering shadows across the faces of the people around it. There are 6 of us here, high school kids. Robbie's just passed his driver's test and he's driven us all out into the wild. Our first big outing as a group, camping in the forest. Emily does not respond. She does not even look up. She just stands awkwardly at the edge of the clearing, staring into the flames. I glance around at the others. They're all chatting away. Robbie's flirting with Ariana, I see, and with a stab of sharp jealousy. I don't know if he's getting my hints or if he's just not interested. And with other 2, Kyle and Kay, both trying and failing to roast their sticks of beef jerky above the fire. Kay swears and grimaces as his piece tumbles pitifully off the stick and lost into the flames. I sigh and rise, walking cautiously over to where Emily is standing. Emily? I say softly, reaching out a hand to her shoulder. She turns around and looks at me, expressionless. I'm not sure why, but my skin crawls. It feels like she's looking right through me. Emily is one of my favorite people. She's funny, bubbly. She's the one who came up with the whole idea to go camping in the first place. We're in a part of the state I've never been to before, but Emily has. She's been camping here with her parents. She thought it would be really fun for us to come all together here. And so far it has been. Emily? I say again softly. What's wrong? But as before, she doesn't respond. Her face remains completely still. She gives me no body language at all, and I can't help but nervously laugh a little, giving her a playful shake. Talk to me, girl. Hello? Are you okay? The sky has begun to fade from red to a deep purple as the sun disappears below the horizon. Curious, unseen birds chirp in the distance beyond the surrounding encircling tree line. Okay, Emily replies after a pause, startling me. Another anxious laugh escapes me, and I tuck a strand of hair behind her ear. So, everything's okay? Everything is okay, she replies. Sweet. Okay, well, that's good, but I don't really know what else to say. The girl's acting weird as fuck. Where's the firewood, Em? I ask, gesturing down to her empty hands, and Emily does not move. Emily? I say, a little louder now. Some of the others turn to look. You're freaking me out. Stop. Where's the firewood? The firewood, she repeats quietly. Yo, you didn't bring me back any firewood? Kyle calls over to ask. What were you even doing out there? Kay mutters something under his breath and makes a crude gesture, and the boys suppress snorts of laughter and childish giggles. Ariana throws an empty can at him, which he bats away playfully. Emily makes a noise in response, and a noise which sets the others off chuckling. It puts them all at ease, and they return to their conversations. But I am nowhere near at ease. All the little fine hairs across my forearms, up the back of my neck, and they suddenly stand on end in terrible, chilling unison. The sound that Emily makes was clearly supposed to be a laugh. The others were only half paying attention, shouting over their shoulders, but I was looking right at her, and she didn't smile. Her eyes remained wide open. The laugh was completely and utterly hollow, and it was a carbon copy of my own, forced uncompromisingly through Emily's vocal cords. I just stare back at her, and for a moment it's only us. No forest, no sunset sky, no birds, and no budding stars, just me and her. The tension is broken when Ariana calls us over to sit down. Emily turns at the sound of her name and goes to sit by the edge of the fire upon being summoned. My heart is hammering dangerously in my chest, and I reach for my pocket. Taking a breath from my inhaler, I try to do so subtly. I hate Robbie seeing me do it, but honestly I've got bigger things to worry about right now. What the fuck was that? In some kind of sick prank? I guess it could be. I glance around subtly for placed cameras and carefully angled phones. Maybe the group are in on all of a big joke. The thought makes me instantly self-conscious. I've always been insecure about being left out of stuff, but I can't see a thing, and besides, it's getting too dark now anyway. I considered going to sit down with Robbie and Ariana and now Emily. Do a bit of cock blocking, but I decided against it and sit down with the boys instead. I only half take part in their conversation. I can't help but constant glances over to Emily. She's just sat there, expressionless most of the time and barely speaking. I just can't for the life of me shake this feeling in my gut that something is terribly, terribly wrong. Hey, Earth to Sister. Kay knocks me on the shoulder and I turn to him. You okay, Cassie? You've gotten so quiet all of a sudden. I've gotten quiet? Perhaps with a bit more force than I meant to, I reply. And the guys raise their eyebrows in surprise. I blush a little. Sorry. You guys noticed anything weird about Emily lately? Ever since she came back from the woods, she's been acting all different. Kai brushes his long, messy fringe from his eyes, shoots a glance to Kyle. An unspoken message seems to pass between them two, and Kyle rolls his eyes. Kai looks back to me to speak. Are you sure you're not just jealous that she's over there talking to Robbie? I flush suddenly and swear at him. He laughs and I shove him out of the way. Shut up, Kai. What are you talking about? Come on, Cassie. Everybody knows, Kyle whispers behind his hand. I breathe out a sigh of distress. Does Robbie know? Kyle responds in a negative, but I'm not sure I believe him. From there, the conversation grows and develops in natural little shoots, and I get lost in it. I forget for a while about my uncertainty regarding Emily. We start to pack up and prepare for bed. Tonight's the settling in night. We'll start on the real underage drinking bonanza tomorrow. As we're all shuffling around, gathering our things and throwing the last of the sticks onto the fire, hoping that there'll be sufficient embers in the morning to get started again. Easily, though. I decide to speak to Robbie real quick, just a brief chat. to put me in his mind before he goes to sleep. Hey, Robbie, I say to him, pushing out my chest a little as he turns to me. He looks so good in the glow of the fire, the angles of his face illuminating in rippling orange. Hey, Cass, you all sorted for tonight? Yeah, I think so. Do you think that... But he cuts me off. He leans in close. Hey, Cass, did you notice anything kind of weird about Emily earlier? Emily. And I realize what an idiot I've been. Oh, shit. Yeah, I did. Where is she now, Robbie? Where's Emily? I'm not sure, he replies and then straightens and calls out to the bustling shadows beyond the fire. Hey, Emily. Have any of you guys seen Em? Oh yeah, Ka replies. She went to go get more firewood with Kay. Ariana snorts from her position by the logs. Good to see her actually doing some work. But I don't laugh. In fact, I start to feel terribly cold, chilled, despite the night's latent warmth. How long ago did they leave? I ask desperately. I can't seem to organize my thoughts. Something is wrong. Something is very, very wrong, but I just can't vocalize what that thing is. Kyle steps closer to the fire and shrugs. I don't know, like 10 minutes maybe? I run past him to the edge of the clearing. I squint my eyes looking into the darkness, listening for voices, for a stray beam of a flashlight, but there's nothing. Guys? I call out. Guys? And I'm answered by nothing but the ripple of the breeze through the branches. Emily and Kay are gone. They're gone. I start to panic a little, and I reach for my inhaler, pushing my hair away from my face and taking a deep breath in. Cassie, what's the matter? Kyle calls out to me and jogs over. They walked off into the darkness? I ask, forcing my words out. They didn't even take a flashlight. I don't know. Kate did, I think. Then why can't we see them through the trees? I don't know. Chill, Cassie. It's fine. And why would they go out looking for firewood now that it's gotten dark? Robbie's behind me now, too. He puts a hand on my shoulder. His touch feels good, but I surprise myself by shaking him off, realizing I'm even more stressed than I'd appreciate. Guys, this is serious. Something's not right with Emily. She's, I'm not sure how to phrase it. She's not herself. I think we need to take her home. I appreciate how painfully uncool this makes me sound, but someone's got to take charge of this shit show. The group is expected to all voice their protests. Whoa, we're not taking her home, Cassie. It's the middle of the night, and besides, she is acting off, but what are we really suggesting here? She's having some kind of breakdown or something. I don't know. A scream from the forest cut through our palavere is like a sharpened blade. We turn as one to stare out towards the source, hearts thumping and the senses suddenly primed and brutally alert. I call it a scream, but it was more like a howl, really, not like a wolf, though, which would have been frightening enough. The sound that echoed through the trees was more like an ape. A howler monkey, I guess. You ever heard one of those? A quick series of high-pitched, vocalized, frenzied grunts and shrieks, all strung together, played from note to note, discordingly as could, through the darkness. It's not a noise one hears in the forests of the Midwest, though. What the fuck was that? Ariana whispers, on her feet now and closer to the rest of the group. I've been looking into the woods for a while, away from the fire, and I feel like my eyes are starting to adjust, but I can still only make out vague shapes and gently waving branches. The scent of pine and smoke heavily fill the air. Robbie, I say, still peering into the darkness. Pass me the flashlight. He goes to grab one and hands it to me. I respect the power of night vision, but sometimes you can't beat a solid beam of welcome light. I click it on, and Robbie does the same, and the beam lands squarely on a pale face in the trees. Eyes white and wide, staring back into my own. Jesus, fuck. I scream out in alarm and stagger back, tripping over a log landing and painfully crash. Robbie's light is still directed toward the face, however, and my brain registers it after a quick second. It's Kai. Stood directly and silently by the edge of the trees, unmoving. We all start swearing at him at once. Kyle burst into a loud laugh, and his face illuminated briefly by Robbie's flashlight as he swings it over, his face breaking into a grin. What the fuck is wrong with you, man? You're one scary motherfucker sometimes. The rest of us, however, are not so thrilled. What the hell, Kai? What are you doing there, man? I shout up at him. Very funny. Very fucking funny. So where's Emily? The others start looking around for her, expecting her to pop out from behind a tree or a tent at any moment, but she doesn't. I keep my beam fixed on the boy as I clamber to my feet. He doesn't laugh, and he does not move. I take a step closer. Okay? I say to him softly. He remains silent. Okay? I say again, and find that I am unable to raise my voice much higher than a whisper. Talk to me, man. Firewood. He replies quietly. The warning lights return, flashing bright in my head. Emily will bring back the firewood. The breeze blows through the dark forest. I take another step towards him as the others look around for Emily, laughing together now, flashlight beams tracing over the trees beyond. He watches me approach. Okay, I say very carefully and very clearly. I'm not gonna lie to you, okay? I know you know I was freaking out a bit about Emily earlier, and she's got you in some kind of prank. It's just not funny, alright? It's freaking me out, and if you want to make fun of me for being a chicken, then it's fine, but just stop. I'm really genuinely asking you to stop. I stand tense and in silence, regarding each other, and he grins. It's a pretty spooky looking face in the light of a flashlight, but it's a grin I recognize, and I breathe a little easier. You fucker. Shaking my head. Come put some sticks on the fire and go to bed. Oh, alright, it's late. He walks towards me, and he bursts into a sudden loud laugh as he passes, which makes me jump again. I laugh too in response and push him away. Chicken. Yeah, I know. So, where's Emily then? Bed, he replies as he bends down to grab a handful of sticks, stepping over and throwing them carelessly onto the fire. Right. Okay, well, that's good. Still kind of on edge, if I'm being honest. I'll look back on this moment and realize that I should have checked Emily's tent right away. I should have just checked. But I don't. Because why would he lie? It's around 3 a.m. when I wake up. Damned bladder. If you ever had to rustle yourself out of a sleeping bag and back out into the wilderness just to piss, you'll know my pain. I try to quietly pull down the zip as I try not to wake up the others and tiptoe out into the rough forest ground. I'm still pretty freaked out about earlier, so I don't go too far. Disappointed to realize that despite our efforts, the fire has gone away completely. I basically just go squat behind the tent. I finish up, and here's when I realize I never checked on Emily, and now the thought has occurred to me. I realize that I simply just have to make sure she's okay, of course. I won't be able to get back to sleep otherwise. So I head back into my tent, grab my flashlight, only turning it on right when I'm next to Emily's tent. I whisper her name. No response. I whisper a little louder. Maybe she's fast asleep. I pull the zipper down on her tent and carefully look inward, and the one on the inner lining, and peek my head inside. I shine my flashlight in too. But she's not there. She's not here. She's not to be found at all. No trace. I scan the beam of light all over the place, but it's not like there's anywhere to hide. It's a fucking tent. I start to sweat. It's okay. It's okay. Maybe she's just went to use the restroom like me, but just a little further out. She's probably just a few feet away. So still on my hands and knees, I crawl back, turning my flashlight in hand and pointing the beam past the fire to scan my surroundings. And the beam lands on Kai. Stood there in the darkness in the exact same spot that I've seen him last. Silent. Still staring. The forest breeze ruffles his hair as he looks down at me, unblinking, not even squinting in the beam of light. A scream catches in my throat, and he's definitely not grinning now.